411, hun?
What's the 411, hun?
I got it going on,
Hey, yo,
hun.
I got it going on, hun.
What's the 411, hun?
What's the 411, hun?
I got it going
Hey,
on.
yo, I got it going on.
What's up, everyone? Good afternoon. It is your girl, your diva knowledge, Lady Mocha. Represent Mocha's Cafe de Paris. You know where I'm always serving you topics in the best of wisdom, knowledge, and spiritual awareness. Thought it was very imperative today, y'all, because this particular topic, this content that I'm doing today, it unfortunately hits very close to home. There's a 17-year-old black male who murdered his mother. This incident occurred March 15th, 2019. Police report details describing the scene of a weekend homicide where a woman's teenage son allegedly stabbed her to death. Savannah police officers were called to the home on Liner Street in Carver Heights Friday in response to a woman with severe bleeding from her neck area. Upon arrival, officers located 38-year-old Winter Brandt, deceased, with the parent stabbing wounds. According to the police report from that evening, Brandt had massive trauma to her neck and back area. She was not breathing and didn't have a pulse. The report states one officer observed a large amount of blood in the living room as well as a bloody sword laying on the floor of the first floor bathroom. The responding officers began searching the house for others. In a room upstairs, they found two girls around the ages of 2 and 6 months old. Officers said the 2-year-old had blood on her feet and clothing. EMS responded to the scene along with other Savannah police areas and detectives. Officials were able to quickly identify 17-year-old Tisaya Brandt as the suspect. He was arrested on a murder charge. When I say this hit close to home, unfortunately it does. The young lady who unfortunately died at the hands of her son, by the name of Winter Brandt. I know Winter. I actually went to school with her at Savannah Technical College. It was many, many years ago. I think it was probably 2007, 2008, somewhere in that ballpark. Me and her had a math class together, and she seemed like a really, really a cool person. She was a really nice woman. I can tell that she was a mother who definitely handled her business. She worked hard. She was one of those single moms who really, really took care of her children. I had lost contact with her over the years, but when we lost contact, it definitely wasn't on bad terms or anything. Just people go different directions in life, but we stayed in touch here and there, but it had been a while since I had really spoken with her. And when I heard about this, I would definitely say that I was just floored. Not just me, half of Savannah. I'm from a town that's relatively small. All of us went to the same middle school, the same elementary school, the same colleges together. Everybody pretty much knows everybody here in Savannah. So when this news came about, it really devastated the whole Chatham County, because there was a lot of people, if they didn't know her through school, they knew her through her job, or they knew her through being one of those parents that always, went to all the schools and, kept up with her children. So she had a very positive reputation. And like I said, she was a hard worker. She handled her business. Now, it's one thing if somebody loses their life in a car accident, or they lose their life because of an illness or a disease. But to know that a mother who really was a good mom and took care of her children and provided and always made a way, it was just very disheartening to hear that she lost her life by the hands of her son. Her Facebook page was flooded with "rest in peace, sleep in peace. I'm so sorry that you had to go through this." And I could only imagine the agony of what she experienced during this tragic event, what possibly could have been going through her mind at the time her son was stabbing her. For one, I knew it was very painful. For two, I know definitely she was in a state of shock, because who would think in a million years that your own child would be the one to stab you, would be the one that's killing you and basically taking your life from you, when you were the one who gave that child life. And of course, like I said, her son was 17, so he's a tall guy, and I'm sure physically she probably really couldn't do much of anything with him, because sometimes mothers, I don't have a son, but when I look at my nephews, You know, I realize how tall they are, how big they are, and I'm like, you know what? If I ever had to go up against any of these young men, I know I would be defeated, because these young men, they're strong. They have a lot of energy. So I'm sure physically, she could not conquer him. Especially with him having a sword, so she was defeated from the get-go. So I could only imagine what was going through her mind, and the physical pain and the agony she felt, because I mean, it's one thing to shoot somebody, but when you stab someone, that is a slow death. Unfortunately, she suffered in that, and the only thing I could hope is that in her last moments, God gave her some type of peace, and gave her a chance, as crazy as it sounds, to forgive him. That way, she could make her peace and go ahead and cross over. So I'm hoping God gave her enough time, and if she couldn't verbally speak it, I'm hoping she at least had a time to think about it, because I'm sure she probably couldn't speak, being that, she was in so much pain and agony. But I'm sure she made a peace with God, because that was the kind of mother she was. But this young man, on the other hand, I hope he knows. And unfortunately, I know he has no clue what he's in for, because to go in to a prison for a crime like that, does he realize how many inmates are going to be torturing him? I mean, he has no clue what he's in for, because one thing inmates do not like, they do not like child molesters, and they do not like people who have hurt their mothers or their grandparents, the elderly. Inmates, they don't respect dudes that come in for that type of crime. And by him being young, dumb, and I'm sure very ignorant, he did not really look too far ahead when he was doing what he was doing. Now, a lot of people, there's been speculation that a lot of people felt like he was high. Then there was a person who came on Facebook, I guess, who kind of knew of him or knew of his mom or whatever, and said, mental illness is something that a lot of people struggle with. And I'm like, I just hate when we got to always use that mental illness excuse, especially when it comes to the black community, being that black families have been known to have all type of dysfunction. So we want to blame bipolar, we want to blame narcissism, we want to blame schizophrenic, we want to blame all of these illnesses, when the truth of the matter is, illnesses may have like 20% to do with a person's actions, but for the most part, we cannot keep using it as an excuse to condone somebody who resorts to this level of violence. I believe this young man already had problems. I'm sure as this case goes on, it's going to unfold. I'm sure many things are going to come out. I'm quite certain for it to escalate to this point. This was not the first time she's been at the rodeo with her son. It's probably been plenty of arguments. She probably was getting on him like mothers do, trying to make him, do right, live right, getting on him about his grades, probably getting on him about coming in the house, smoking weed, all type of stuff that parents we go through when it comes to dealing with our children, through their adolescence. So I'm sure, she did everything she could. And, no mother, whether if you have a son or a daughter, no mother will ever phantom the fact that the child that you are disciplining, no matter how many times you discipline that child, you punish that child, you never think it'll get to the point to where a child could hate you so much to where they would take your life. Granted, me and my daughter have had our share of ups and downs. We've even physically had altercations when she was younger, when she was going through that period of adolescence and thinking she was grown. Me and her dad had went through it with her, and it was very challenging. But fortunately, it never got to the point to where she was so angry with us to where she was willing to kill us or stab us in our sleep. So illness may have play a part in this, but I also believe this young man was just very rebellious, and he just meant, I'm going to do what I want to do. You're not going to tell me what to do. And sometimes when, especially these children, when they reach to a certain level of rebelliousness, it becomes very difficult to deal with them. It's to the point to where you basically, your own child could become your own worst enemy, as crazy as it sounds. I know plenty of parents who love their kids to death, and these was parents that gave their children the best, whether if it was materialistically, whether if it was putting them in the best schools or buying them the best of clothes and the best of things, and to do all that, to turn around and have that very child curse you out, call you every name of God, disrespect you. That child will bring all kind of people all up in your house, screwing and having sex in your house, just no respect for your house, no respect for you as a parent. So when I say I've been there, trust me, I've been there. And it took a lot of time, and it took a lot of prayer, and it took me and my husband coming together to discipline my child when it got to the point where she really got out of control. And that's the problem with the black community. We got so many single parent households to the point to where these kids, they're not threatened by their mothers. They don't fear their mothers, especially these young men. For all you single moms out there who have sons, I pray that God covers you, and not to say that it's any easier with daughters. But when you're dealing with a son that's rebelling against you, that's almost like going against a full grown man, physically anyway, not mentally, which means that physically he cannot phantom when he attacks you how much physical damage he's doing to you. When he's roughing you up or jacking you up, these young men, unfortunately, they don't see their mothers as their moms. Sometimes when, especially the single moms or even moms, who have husbands with them, but when these sons get used to handling you a certain way, and it's even more prone that this happens in single parent households more so than two parent households, because the father's there to balance it out to where that son can't have but so much control. But for these single moms, you have to be really, really careful, because sometimes when you're too catering to your son, you're too giving to your son, these young men will forget that they are your son, and they will start to act out in ways to where they acting like they're your boyfriend, your living man, your husband. Sometimes they don't know the line between them being just your son and them trying to rule you like they're your man. So sometimes as women, as single moms, you got to be careful, because I notice some single moms do this man crush Monday. My son is my man. My son is my boo. You got to be very careful with that. And I'm not saying this is the case with Miss Brandt, because I do not know, and I will never disgrace her in any kind of shape or form. I don't know the position, her and her son, but I'm generally speaking from other women who I personally do know. Some of these women treasure their sons and make their sons their everything. And as these young men become older and older and older, they don't know there's a thin line between them being the young man of the house versus them trying to be the man of the house. You know what I mean? So a lot of single moms who have done this have paid the price. I know a young lady personally who she made her son her everything. She worshiped the ground he walked on. And what ended up happening was, she ended up creating a monster. He got so out of control on her. He started disrespecting her, disrespecting his siblings, to the point to where she didn't want to deal with him no more. She put him out her house. And that's what I hate. I hate these parents. When your children get out of control, you don't want no parts of them. You want to throw them back out there in the world, in the streets, for us to have to be stuck with them, for society to have to deal with them, for the police to have to deal with them, for the courts and the judges and the innocent bystanders who they robbing and mugging and raping or whatever. Y'all throw y'all children out here in a society for us to deal with them, because you tired of your own son. You tired of your own daughter. You tired of they disrespecting you. You can't do nothing with them. So what happens is, children are smart. They know when they are weighing you down. And what happens is, these kids, their energy is stronger than yours. And if you're the type of parent, you lazy, you complacent, you really don't fight with them, you don't get down on them, they will wear you down to the point to where you would just let them go and do any goddamn thing. And when we do things like that, this is just an example, because I'm not saying that's the case with this situation, but I've seen mothers who have done it, and they ended up hating their own child, their own son, their own daughter, ended up disrespecting them to where they had to throw them out and get rid of them. And this young lady, this particular one that I know of, that's what she did when her son was rebelling. She put him out. So when she put him out, he had just became a father. He was only 16 years old, so that was the first thing. He already made her a grandmother, and she's not even near her 40s. I think she's like 35, 36. He already made her a grandmother, and that was already the first sign he was getting off the chain. And when he started talking back to her, because you making him your man crush Monday, you making your son your man, and you talking about how sexy, and posting him on Facebook, which is crazy to me. It looked like some type of incest thing going on. That's just my opinion. However, But she was doing that, and it got to the point to where she couldn't stand her own son because he started acting like he was her man, telling her what to do, talking back to her, being disrespectful, being rebellious. She couldn't take it no more, so she put him out the house. So when she put him out, honey, her troubles just got worse for him. He got even more off the chain. He got involved in a situation in which he ended up taking another family's son, who was one of those young men who was playing football, who was going to school, was trying to make something of himself. He took that young man's life over simple miscommunication, over some words, or at a movie theater, and it just was a bunch. It was just a bunch of mess. And coincidentally, his trial is coming up at the end of this month. So when she let her son go because she couldn't deal with them, he got out there in society and he became somebody else's nightmare. This is what happens, ladies and gentlemen, when in some cases, not saying this is the case with Miss Brandt, but because she was one who cared for her family and she took care of her children. But for the rest of y'all out here, if this could happen to a woman who took care of her kids, only imagine how it could come back and backfire on those who never took care of their children, who never taught them anything. So basically, when you let your child go out there and become society's problem, then you are the one that has to deal with the shame, because that story became so big with this other young man that I told you about. He ended up in prison. It became so big, so viral here in Savannah, that he murdered this other young man. It was all over the news, and everything, and it got so bad to the point to where you can just tell, it took a toll on her, and to the point to where her way of dealing with it was by not dealing with it, but the truth of the matter, everybody knew, you know what I'm saying, that it was her son who committed this heinous murder. But back to the situation with this young man, with Miss Brandt. My heart definitely goes out to her family, and it's so sad that this young man don't realize the severity of his actions, because he had other siblings. So it's unfortunate that they are going to be without a mom. One was 2, and I think the other one was 6 months. I think the two-year-old was either 2 or 3, and then the baby was 6 months old. So it's 2 kids waking up today without a mom. Now somebody else is going to have to step in and mother these children and take care of these kids, because he took not only their lifeline, but he took his lifeline. Now my thing is this: now you're locked up, okay, and we already know that you're going to be doing some time for this, all right? Even if you don't do the rest of your life, you're going to be doing a lot of time. I hope they give him life, being that it was his mom, because that's just intolerable there. He's not understanding. You get locked up, 9 times out of 10, any inmate who gets locked up, they tell you whoever was there for them the most was their mom. Those inmates who had mothers will tell you, if it wasn't for my mom, my mom. And in some cases, they're the fathers. They'll tell you, if it wasn't for my mom, if it wasn't for my father, I wouldn't made it in here. You can't survive in prison without somebody looking out for you, taking care of you. And the one person who would have done that, that was the one he chose to murder, which was his own mom. So my thing is, while you're incarcerated for murdering your mother, who you think is going to support you while you locked up? I mean, I don't know the deal with the father, unless the father has a change of heart. And I hear inmates murder and hurt people all day, but they still have, family to put money on the books and call and check on them. I mean, criminals still get some kind of support. My thing is, I don't know who's going to support him through this, because he took away his mom, and I could only imagine what her whole family is going through. And I'm sure she probably saw signs. I'm sure she's seen him rebel and be off the chain. But again, no mother thinks your own child is going to murder you. No mother thinks that. And I'm sure she's seen signs, but again, being a mom, we let our love overshadow penalizing our children for their poor choices, because we love our kids so much. We don't want to punish them. We don't want to spank them. We don't want to, strip them of privileges. And I can't say if she did that or not, but sometimes as parents, We try so hard because we don't want our kids to hate us. We try to be lenient. We try to we bend the rules. We try to be more of a friend instead of a parent. And sometimes that's a way of coming back and backfiring. When you try to be their friend instead of being their parent, because these children, the problem is when it's time for them to stay in a child's place, they don't know how to because they have become too complacent with being our friend, so it's sad nowadays because now you can't say it's just white kids that are doing this. It's just black kids that are doing this. It's all kids. You used to be able to pinpoint. You used to be able to look at certain dynamics and say, okay, well, this child is most capable of doing this type of crime. You can't even say that no more. Because not even just black males. It's black females who have also killed their parents. It's white females who have done it. White males who have killed their parents. I mean, so you really can't even put a label on who is most liable to commit this type of offense because again it's so many people doing it, so there's no way you can really narrow it down. It just was really really a sad situation, y'all. When I heard about this, my heart broke, and to see her picture all over the news, and I've been to school with this woman and knowing that she was one of those women who strived for better. She was a nurse. She told a friend that she was trying to buy a home for her and her children, so she had goals, she had ambition, she had plans. This was a woman who wanted something out of life, and this young man robbed her of that. And not only he robbed her of that, he robbed himself. And this is just so disheartening to hear this type of tragic news, because a lot of our black kids are at such a disadvantage. So when you do have a black young man or a black young woman who has parents that love them and care about them and provide for them, that's already a plus within itself. And this young man, he did not see the blessings that he had. And it's unfortunate. I see these kids now, these children are off the chain. These kids today, they have no remorse. These kids could murder their own mother, parents, murder their own siblings, and go lay down the same night and sleep like nothing ever happened. We're dealing with a totally different breed of children. These children now are more wiser, but they're more wickeder than ever, and a lot of them are so rebellious. They can't see that the enemy is basically um, poisoning them with these thoughts of wanting to harm those who love them. So I don't know how long this young man is going to keep on this charade. I saw his mug shot, looked like he kind of was smiling and smirking, like reality has not sunk in. And I really don't think he's being sarcastic. I just really think that um he reached a dark place. He reached a dark place to where there's just absolutely nothing there. His soul is dark. His spirit is dark. And I just think right now he can't even feel for what he did because he's in a dark place. He might have a sense of what he did was wrong, and whatever little sense that was, it probably is going to come from the fact that somebody's going to have to tell him he's wrong, not because he's taking accountability. But I strongly believe he just has lost all sense of reality. He's motionless. Um, there's no remorse. There's no regret. This young man probably been walking around brewing hate for a long time, and that's why parents, it's very important that you communicate with your children. You see something out of pocket, you see them not really communicating with you, you see them always being distant and always isolating themselves. Not only that, a lot of speculation has been maybe he was on something which made him snap to that degree, and that's a possibility. And if you're dealing with a child that's on drugs, and I mean something that's life threatening, not just weed or cigarettes, if they're doing that, this opium, and they got this K2, they got all type of drugs out there now that's making people see demonic spirits, and it causes you to see things that are not there. It will get a hold of your mind. Some of these drugs will get a hold of your mind and make you snap and do ungodly things. So I don't know if he was on something and he was high, or maybe he wasn't high, because again, when it comes to things like this, we want to make sense of it. We want to try to find an excuse. We're looking for something to make us reason, when the truth of the matter is there's nothing to reason with. The boy was just troubled, and it was only a matter of time. He probably been stubborn, been hard-headed, been not listening, been disrespectful, been talking back, been just being a burden to his moms. And it's unfortunate that I believe he will regret it, but it's going to take a minute for it to sink in. I think he's probably still in culture shock himself. I think there's a part of him, he knows he did it, but there's a part of him, the reality hasn't really registered. But I'm sure as time and time and time and time and time goes on, he realizes his mom has never come to that jail. He realizes he will never hear his mother's voice. He realizes that his siblings want nothing to do with him because of how he lost his mom. I believe when reality does sink in, he's going to crumble. When reality really registers. Right now, it's just not there, because I think this young man is just seeing all black. He's in a dark space, and people that are in a dark space, they don't feel the severity of the damage that they have done, especially in these type of traumatizing situations. But I know one thing: every night that he lays down and goes to sleep, he's going to hear those same screams. He's going to hear his mom's voice. He was the last one there with her, so he's going to relive and replay that incident like a broken record over and over and over again. I don't think God is going to allow him to rest. I don't think he's going to get any peace from this, and he shouldn't. He shouldn't. He shouldn't get any peace from it. And we just in a wicked world, ladies and gentlemen. Just observe your children, pay attention to them, watch their anger, watch how they deal with handling anger and dealing with getting upset about something. Watch and study them. If they blowing up, or they quick to pull out a knife as soon as somebody gets them mad, that may be a child you definitely want to invest in a shrink and get that child some help. Don't wait for it to get this far and then you want to get your child help. Now, I'm not saying that is the case with this young man. I really don't know. Like I said, it may not even be mental illness. It may not be no type of excuse other than the fact that he was just determined that he was not going to listen to his mother, and if it meant taking her out to never have to listen to her, then so be it. Because these children, they got a wicked ass way of thinking. So their psyche is totally different from the normal child's psyche. Okay, so things that don't make no goddamn sense to you, it makes plenty of sense to them. I've seen children who, I knew this one young man, he killed his sister because she poured bleach on his clothes. She got mad and poured bleach on his clothes, and he got mad and he killed her. Versus her telling the parents to make her pay the money back. He killed her over some goddamn clothes. This is the society we're dealing with, y'all. And the Bible is revealing itself. It's saying in this last days, man will become lovers of themselves. Mother will turn against father. Father will turn against son. The Bible is revealing itself, y'all. I'm telling you, family is doing more damage to each other than these outsiders are. I'm telling you. While you trying to watch your back from all of these outsiders, you better watch your back from those within your own damn household. It's been husbands who betrayed wives and killed their wives. There's been wives who paid hitmen to kill their husbands. I mean, I'm telling you, things ain't never what the hell it looked like. People will walk around here normal. People will walk around here in a nice house and nice cars, or even if they're staying in the projects and driving an 89 putt-putt. People will walk around and present themselves to be a different way. But when you really go up into their world, or when situations like this happens, then you like, wow, who would have thought? She seemed like a nice woman. He seemed like a mannerable young man. Yeah, all that is well and said and done. But when Satan steps in, honey, or when the spirit of rebelliousness steps in, you're going to do what you want to do. Later, for not respecting your mom, not respecting your dad, this is what happens. The devil will have his way with you. And not that I'm blaming the devil, but basically this young man, he allowed the devil to make him act on spontaneous, something that whatever the case was, it wasn't that big for it to escalate to that point to where he had to kill his mom. I don't care if they was arguing about something. I don't care if she called him all the mother effers and told him to get the F out of her house. I don't care how it went. It was not worth it escalating to the point to where he had to kill her. And so what if she slapped him for getting disrespectful or whatever? No, you don't stay with your parents and think you could talk to them all kind of way. And because they want to discipline you, you got the audacity to get mad. You got the audacity to get angry. The nerve of these children. They want to be disrespectful and do what they want to do and dare you to even discipline them. And they'll just retaliate because you're just doing the job of a parent. Means you're giving them structure and you're giving them discipline. And it's sad that this woman couldn't give her son structure and discipline without him taking her life. Lord, this is just a very tragic story. My heart goes out to her family. She was a really cool girl. Like I said, I haven't seen her in years, but I really liked her. We had the same math class, and I could only imagine what she went through during this horrific event that happened. But I know now she's in a better place. As for her son, now karma has just stepped in, and I believe karma is going to be hanging around him for a long time. So anyway, y'all, give me your comment. Let me know how y'all feel about the story. Definitely be respectful. I don't want, the family to find this video and see that people are, being disrespectful. Don't judge the situation. We don't know it. Even with him, I'm trying to have some type of sympathy, but I don't know how to do that. Just be considerate as to how you express your opinions on this particular situation, because this could have been your daughter, this could have been your sister, this could have been somebody who you loved. So we got to be mindful, because losing a loved one is never easy, okay? But on that note, again, I thank all of y'all for tuning in and rocking out with me, your girl Lady Mocha here at Mocha's Cafe de Paris. Remember, I'm going to always pour you a cup of truth, and I'm going to always break you off with a slice of knowledge. I'll be uploading a new content soon. Y'all take care. Bye.